Yo, what is up, YouTube? It's YBP Gang, YBP Nation, YBP Boxing, YBP MMA, The Return, YBP's back, YBP Forever, all that type of stuff. Coming at y'all with another video, immediate reaction video. We coming back with these after the events. I finally found a way to record without any interruptions and all that type of stuff. It's fully quiet, so we gonna get these out quicker. Usually I just wait till the next day. And, stuff is like that. I just don't got the motivation to do it. And stuff's already passed. People already made their videos. The stuff that popped out the most is the stuff that's immediately out there. So I thought it's the perfect time to do it. Get these quick to y'all, immediately. So just my raw thoughts. Got some pretty passionate takes about this card. So let's get right into it, man. The main event. That's what everybody wants to talk about. GARRY versus Ian Machado Garry versus Carlos Prates, the fighting nerd. And this fight, man, I thought, honestly, to me, I know there's a lot of people out there who are saying that, Garry ran, Garry, held on for dear life. Gary's a runner, not a true fighter. And praising Prates, saying he's a fucking dog. He went out there, he did his thing. Prates is the real fighter out there. And I look at people like this, and this is the reason why Michael Chandler was like a pick'em against Paddy Pimblett. Because we reward bullshit like this, you know what I mean? Garry went out there for the first 3 rounds and basically styled on Prates. Made him his bitch. First 3 rounds, outstruck him on the feet. Way better striking than we've seen from Garry throughout his entire career. To outstrike a guy like Prates was proclaimed as the best Muay Thai guy, best striker, fighting nerds, all this type of stuff. All the names that they give the fighting nerds, add that on to Garry. He went out there, jabbed him to death, uppercuts, creating angles, beautiful footwork, all that type of stuff. Second round, mixing in takedowns, doing the thing. I will say the first, okay, so if we're breaking it round by round, first round was a little lower volume. I still don't think there were people out there who were saying that round was it was somehow a close round and that, Garry edged it with the trip at the end. That round wasn't even close. Prates didn't even land any shots. And it's the bullshit. I think people have this preconceived notion about a fighter. So they'll be maybe this guy's shots don't mean as much, and it could be one person doing way more than the other person, but they're just them imposing themselves, just them being there. It'll be this is a close round, not much happened. When Garry is the only one landing punches in that round. Second round comes around, way more volume from Garry. I think he lands a takedown in there too. Mind you, this is just off the dome. I don't really the thing that's fresh on my mind is the last 2 rounds, but I remember the first 3 rounds were just all Garry, man, all Garry. Gets the takedown. He's able to get on the back too, I think, in moments. Couldn't really keep it. But yeah, again, I remember there was this moment it might have been the 3rd or 2nd, but Prates is swinging for the fences, and you get a nice, beautifully timed takedown entry. This is some GSP shit, man. This is real, nasty wrestling. I think Marab might have done it too in the Sean O'Malley fight. Just timing those takedown entries. You don't see that. A guy with a complete MMA game. You saw that for the first 3 rounds. Just a beautiful MMA masterclass. And it'll just get thrown away because for the last 2 rounds, okay, Prates landed a couple good shots. You could honestly argue that was a 49-46. You could give, honestly, Garry the 4th round. Honestly, And even the 5th round wasn't so lopsided. I see Jed Meshew is going on the internet talking about 47-47 is the correct scorecard. What the fuck are you talking about? How do you give 10-8 to... late in that round, Prates is getting, rocked back to the fence just the same way. So it's just, I feel there's a hate out there for Ian Garry. I'm not going to say I'm, the biggest Ian Garry fan or something, but I do feel I have a duty to defend the bullshit that people spew out about him, because I feel he is a true MMA fighter, mixing and doing everything that an MMA fighter should. He's wrestling, he's mixing in. When I look at fighters that I'm this is a good representation of our sport, I look at Garry, it's not Prates, and it's Michael Chandler bullshit. For example, a guy, there's people online who are rewarding or who are applauding Carlos Prates for going out there and fighting well for 2 rounds, starting to fight, just getting into the fight. They're he's such a fucking dog, he went out there, did his thing, man, it was so good what he did, you just got to applaud him. Where was that in the first fucking 15 minutes? He had all the time in the world. He had the same 25 minutes that he and Garry did. Literally. you know? But he starts to get into the fight, has a little bit of a moment, and niggas are applauding him like it's just like, oh, he's so elite, guys. Like, bro, he had, like, you can't applaud for that last second bullshit. It's the same shit that happened with Michael Chandler. And I fell victim to it, honestly. I think we fell victim to it with a lot of guys, you know, Nate Diaz. But again, this is different. Like, Chandler, he was a huge underdog in that fight. Nate Diaz, huge underdog against Leon Edwards. This is a pick'em fight. Prades was supposed to go out there and be competitive. He was supposed to be prepared for a 25-minute fight. Supposed to be prepared to, and honestly, I mean, I know I'm shitting on Prades a lot. Let me say, great takedown defense. I know even when he did get taken down, he would get right back up. Those are redeeming qualities that are gonna, you know, carry him and, you know, keep him at the top of the division, you know, at least in the mix. So that was really good by him. But again, low volume and not letting go at the times when he probably should have. This killer instinct that people talk about, this, like, you know, this shit they talk about, the, you know, the fighting nerds being that type of guy, you know, having that finishing ability. You see that from Rufi. You see that from Silva. I know Caio doesn't maybe have that necessarily, but Caio's also like the most skilled guy there. Like, when it comes to his boxing, he can say, hey, I want to just strike with Jerry Kennedy for 25 minutes and I'm going to win this fight. And he can do that. He doesn't even have to grapple. That guy's easily the most skilled guy. Probably the guy who's probably closest to getting a title shot at this point, honestly. Not even honestly, no. He's definitely the closest guy to getting a title shot. And probably the most likely to become a champion out of those guys. Most complete skill set. You know, he doesn't have the finishes like those other guys, but he's just way more skilled. But Silva and Rufi, like, they have finishing instinct. Like, what was Prades doing in that last round? Just completely letting Ian Garry off the hook. And the moment I knew this fight was over, I knew it was over when Garry was, you know, going to dap up Prades, and Prades was just obliging. He was just like, okay, I'm just going to dap you up, you know, continuously. You know, now you've just entered, now you're playing his game. Obviously, later in the fight, you know, what happened. But by that time, it's too late, you know? I always thought a lot of these fighting nerds guys, when it comes to picking UFC fights, you got to pick guys who are minute winners. Because minute winners are probably the more skilled guy, you know, they're more dependable for sure. I just knew if this fight started going later and later and later, started to play into Gary's favor. So that's my take on the fight, man. I think Garry looked amazing. I think Prades, still a lot of stuff to work on. You know, he looked kind of green. Looked like he was like, it's too big of a moment for him. And I think he can come back stronger for sure. He can go back to the drawing board and do what he needs to do. You know, work on, you know, more output. Work on, I think, punishing Garry for those takedowns and in those positions being a little more dangerous. But honestly, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff. I just think, like, when it got to the point to actually execute, I think he has already a pretty good skill set. But just when it got to the point to execute, obviously, he just didn't really pull the trigger. So it is what it is. And Garry, I think people got to start accepting that Gary's elite, man. The guy has some of the best fight IQ in MMA. You know, he's right there with John Jones. No glaze. Like, it's not even like that at all. I truly think, like, this guy's one of the smarter fighters that we've seen. I think it gets him out of a lot of sticky situations where he might not be as skilled or might not have the power or might not have the wherewithal maybe to pull off the shit that he's thinking about. But I think his execution, the way he maneuvers around things, you know, understanding the moment, being fully aware, fully conscious of what's going on, knowing that you're up 3-0, I think that gets him out of a lot of dumb shit that other people do. So that's my take on the fight, man. I think Garry is a very good fighter. I think Prades is amazing too. But like I said, man, I think people overlook Garry too much. I think they look at some of the stuff that happens outside the ring and they use it to judge him. And, you know, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Continuously, though, Gary's going to continue to humble these guys and put them in their place. Fighting nerds against their first L. You know what I mean? I mean, they already have one. You know, they just decide not to count people. But, you know, it is what it is. Great win for Ian Garry. What's next for him? I mean, he called for the backup title shot. We'll see what happens with that. Yeah, Prades, I'd love to see him fight Leon, MVP, you know, Stephen Thompson, Jeff Neal. I guess he shouldn't fight off a loss. Yeah. I'd have to look more into it. I don't have anyone on top of my head that Because I didn't realize he was number 13. Damn. Yeah. Yeah, nah. I'm not really sure. I have to look more into that, but plenty of fun fights you can do with Pratis still. I don't think his stock lowers a little too much. But I don't think that, again, I think you can't, like, reward too much, though, this, like, last-minute, last-ditch efforts. Because at the end of the day, too, people are shitting on Gary. My guy, he took the fight on short notice. I think people forget about that. Off the couch, bro. Doing this shit. Coming in and beating one of the more dangerous guys at welterweight for not much of a prize. I thought this fight was a lose-lose for Gary because, okay, if you win, what's your reward? You're rewarded with probably Brady, you know? And if you lose, well, you just lost to the number 13 guy. So, I'm hoping maybe Gary can spin this into something better than a Brady fight, but that's probably where they're going to go with this. We'll see. And it might be Buckley, and that's also kind of fucked, too. Buckley's fighting Usman. That's another amazing fight. I got to talk about that later, but, you know, at some point. But, yeah, man, great main event. Co-main event, I think that was, I'm not going to talk too much about this. Kind of a depressing one here, but I don't even want to be mean, okay, but Anthony Smith, man, come on, you gotta tell me, like, why did he invite the family, bro? I don't understand. I think it made a little more sense to me once he got knocked out, and then, like, the post-credits, like, not the post-credits, but the little tribute video that they made, and them being around him, you know, all his, his daughters, I believe, and his wife, and all the women in his life around him. So it made a little more sense there, but, man, it was like, bro, the writing was on the wall, bro. He curled up so quick. I hate to even be that guy. I hate to, but I have videos on my channel that are way worse, so I'm not even gonna rip into Anthony Smith, but bro, like, he was there for a paycheck, bro. Like, come on. You gotta start looking at, you know, honestly, you want to start making money on the UFC, man. You gotta look for fighters, like, in these exact situations, like, because it never goes well. It never does. If you see a fighter that has one foot out the door and is probably, like, thinking about retirement, this is when it gets bad. And honestly, he looked worse in the Reyes fight. Like, he was, like, damn near, he was having some sort of spiritual experience. Like, he was saying, like, he looked lethargic in there. This one, I mean, he kind of looked alive maybe for, like, a couple punches, couple strikes. But Zhang Minyang, younger guy, you know, first-round finisher. When the going got tough, like, you know, Smith just kind of, and it is what it is. I mean, he's later in his career. I think maybe an older Smith probably just gets maybe decisioned or comes on strong late and maybe can have a redeeming moment. Maybe win the round, win the fight, you know, go home with that. But Zhang Minyang's a problem, you know. I think he's a really good fighter. Good boxing, good elbows, good clinch work. You know, he's someone to be worried about in the light heavyweight division. I don't know how far he's going to go, but again, these guys who are, you know, dangerous in the first round. The question always is, like, how are they going to look in the second, third round? But to me, he looks like he has some solid skills to where he can win a decision too. So in light heavyweights, all up for grabs. Obviously, it's a lot of people that aren't that good, you know, that are in those top ranks. So I wouldn't be surprised Zhang Minyang goes out there and is able to beat a guy like Dominic Reyes or Nikita Krylov or Yuri Prochazka. It's a lot of guys over there that I think we hold to high regard, but when you look at it, now compare them to someone like Zhang Minyang, you're thinking about the matchup in your head, and you're like, you know, maybe Zhang can win this fight. Like, these guys aren't crazy, like, skilled to where it's like out of the blue to where it's like, nah, he has no chance, you know. So, yeah, great fight there. Great finish, great one-sided performance. I don't think I'm going to go all the way to the prelims. But I'll just talk about the main card. Maybe I'll sprinkle a little bit. But yeah, let's talk about the Onama fight. Shout out to Onama, man. Shout out to Onama. I think I have a video talking about, like, Onama got the goods. I think for UFC Jacksonville back in the day, I think that did really well. It's just me, another video similar to this. Yeah, man, Onama, he's from Uganda. You know, I'm from East Africa, you know, Kenya. So it's great seeing that representation from someone like Onama going out there, doing what he's doing. I wished he would have stuck to a wrestling heavy game plan early on and wasn't so inclined to strike. But, you know, again, honestly, he didn't have the dumb fighting IQ that he did in the Nate Landwehr fight. So it's improving, but it almost took Giga beating him a little bit to be like, okay, Like, let me do it. Where he should have just done it on his own accord and probably, from the first minute, just test that grappling, because he didn't really have anything for him on the ground. I heard some people online saying that Onama like didn't get that last round. He didn't do enough damage. But if you look at the stats, and honestly from what I saw too, he did. I feel like Giga, he had some okay shots on the feet, but Onama was staying with him. And then when it got to the ground, like Onama landed 4 like solid ground strikes, and it shows that in the stats. So he was definitely active on the ground. I think that he did enough to edge it. And Giga Chikadze, man, it's a solid win. I mean, he's starting to. I was concerned about this matchup because I was like, Giga has good footwork. He can move. He can dance. He has good kicks. Is Onama gonna freeze up? But he went out there and did his thing. Yeah, honestly, good mature performance, showing all aspects of his game. Probably got to work on that striking defense a little bit, because you shouldn't really be getting rocked and, like, knocked down by Giga Chikadze. So, but high hopes for Onama, man. He's 12th ranked. He's got to be a 12th ranked featherweight now, which is kind of crazy. But I don't know, because I think people are going to look at the rankings and they're going to be like, man, like, Onama's the slim pickings. But he's a dog, man. He's a dog. He really is. He goes out there and, like, I know people they're always going to underestimate his skill set, but you get in there with him, it's a little different. And he's another guy that has another well-rounded game. You saw in the Jonathan Pierce fight, he doesn't stay off his back. He doesn't stay on his back. I think he reversed the guy like 4 times, so he's not going to be someone who can just take down. He's someone that can take people down as well. He can eat a shot and give a shot. Big power, long for the weight class. He's going to be a problem, guys. So, shout out to him. Great fight. Michel Pereira, moving on to Abus Magomedov, Michel Pereira. Not too much to say here. Not a very good fight. I don't know what Michel Pereira, like, what happened to him. To be honest, what happened between the Fluffy and this fight. Just completely, like, he's approaching, like, Kevin Holland territory, to where, like, you shouldn't pick him or you shouldn't bet on him at all, because he's just unreliable and you don't know what version you're going to get out of him. He looked unmotivated. He looked terrible. Like, he gassed out in the first 30 seconds of the fight. Like, he just, from the get-go, he was already gassed, it looked like. I don't even know. And the thing that gets me too is that it's not like Abus looked particularly amazing. He just looked like slightly more into it, slightly less tired. So, and he had, like, better striking defense, rolling with the punches, getting out of the way. So I'll give him that. But nothing crazy, like, honestly, I take away from this fight that Michel, not so much that Abus was so much improved and that Abus is such a good fighter, but that, like, Michel just, like, looked terrible, and that's what made this fight close. But it honestly wasn't even close. But it's one of those fights where it's like, Abus did enough every single round to win it, clearly, but it was, like, clear, close rounds. I don't know how to explain it. You just know that, like, maybe a couple more punches, maybe Michel could have got himself into the fight, if that makes sense. But it was very clear, but close rounds. Like, I wouldn't say, like, Abus dominated him or anything. Just kind of edged it. So, yeah, honestly, I don't, neither guy's stock rose from this. It was a fight that was supposed to be a barn burner, supposed to be super exciting, and you got this instead. So, I can't even say shout out to both these guys, man. I don't know. It was an interesting fight. And then, we got, not much to talk about here. I mean, for the last two, for the Ikram Muniz fight, but the Randy Brown Nicholas Dalby fight, crazy fight. Yeah, Dalby goes out there, randomly knocks down Randy Brown. That was a shock. You're thinking, like, what the heck's going on? And then Randy Brown puts on, but honestly, okay, my big takeaway from this fight, though, is that I'm coming out of it, like, saying is, like, man, like, you getting rocked by Nicholas Dalby. You're going toe-to-toe. Like, that would never happen with the elite strikers in this division, man. I don't know. I feel like there's definitely a ceiling to where Randy Brown can go because of shit like this. But he's good, though. He has, like, high... I guess I just say he has, like, a limit to his ceiling. So I don't know. Because, yeah, you just can't be getting, like... You shouldn't be trading and, like, doing this, having absolute wars with Dalby. Like, that's not good. Like... He could have easily been clipped and be on the other side of this. I'm not going to lie. So, with that reach, with that length that he has, I think he should be way smarter with the way he's fighting. Like, I think the initial shot that he landed. But also, too, I keep, like, cutting off my own thoughts. But also, too, sometimes you got to put yourself in the fire to create these moments. So, it is what it is. Sometimes you just gotta do that, because not everyone wants to be, sitting on the outside. Maybe the smarter thing to do would have been to do what, for example, maybe Damon Blackshear did. Stay on the outside. He didn't grapple, showed off more of his Muay Thai this performance. Stay on the outside, jab, look for that 1-2 perfect shot, but if it's not there, just stay to what you're doing. Sometimes you gotta jump in the fire to create these moments, but I thought, I don't know, I expected Brown to, like, probably look, I mean, he looked good, obviously, he got the knockout, but again, like, I feel like those moments were kind of, like, shaky for what we expect. Not what we expect, but I'm saying for upside for him to be, like, a title contender, or, like, beating someone like, because he's a welterweight, so you look at guys like now Randy Brown and Carlos Prates, like, how does that fight go? I'm not too confident in Randy Brown if he's getting, like, tagged and rocked by Nicholas Dalby. I'm just thinking down the line. So for this fight, honestly, it's good, but I always do get, like, red flags with Randy Brown about, like, okay, you won this fight, but how is that going to translate to the next fight and the next fight and the next fight? Because he's always someone who I think we look at. He's long, he's lanky, he has power, solid striking, he can grapple a little bit. You look at him and you're like, okay, can this guy make a run for the title? I don't know if he's quite put it all together yet. I don't know, but he's going to stay in the mix with great knockouts like that, so definitely keep it up, Randy Brown. Randy Brown Prates seems like a really good fight to make, though. Ikram Aliskerov, Andre Muniz. Ikram Aliskerov did what he was supposed to do. I don't really know. They said he landed a hook. It was kind of weird when it happened in real time. So, but yeah, I think he landed a hook, a little bit of delayed reaction. Then he fell down, and he just pounded him out. So, pause. But yeah, good performance by Ikram. Expect nothing less. Honestly, I thought Ikram, I was big on him. I thought he would beat Robert Whittaker. In hindsight, it's probably a bad pick, but it is what it is. I think we project guys. Sometimes they pan out, sometimes they don't. So let's see, man. I think keep matching him with the top guys at middleweight. See what he can do. I think he can get pretty close to that again. So let's see it. And then just skimming through, Machino and Jimmy Flick was a pretty good fight. Evan Elder, Gage Young, Chris Gutierrez, and John Castaneda was really good, somewhat good. Close fight there. Damon Blackshear, Alatong Hae Lee. Just saw Blackshear masterclass on the outside, jabbing, kicking. Muay Thai masterclass from Damon Blackshear on the outside. Didn't use his grappling there. Oh, Malcolm Wellmaker. Okay, Malcolm Wellmaker, man. It sucks for Cameron Simon, man. It actually sucks. Because you go from C-Rod, you go from Peyton Talbot to now Wellmaker. You just keeps getting put on highlight reels, man. But the thing is, I think people are, like, writing sob stories for him, like, man, I feel for the kid, he's only 24, but honestly, these are fights where, like, I think these aren't winnable for him. Like, it's not like he's totally outmatched and, like, they did him dirty. Like, honestly, with how Simon's no, like, slouch. Like, he's a good fighter himself. So, like, when the Talbot fight happened, I remember feeling pretty strongly that he would win. Didn't play out that way, but, he's a very skilled fighter himself. So, I think he's young. He's fighting some tough guys. Obviously, it's the UFC. But yeah, it kind of sucks to see him, like, get knocked out like that, like countless times again. Obviously with Talbot, and then this one it seemed easier. Almost as if, like, he's a veteran building these guys up, like on some, like, Neil Magny type stuff. But yeah, I think maybe they ship him away, comes back, with some improved striking defense, some improved skills. Work on the grappling, maybe get that a little stronger, go to that more. But yeah, I mean, the kid's young, 24, and then Wellmaker, he's a guy, like, we got to start pushing him too. I mean? The kid looks special, man. You might have to match him up with Talbot coming up too. Maybe, see who we could really invest in, just see who knocks each other off there and then go from there after that. So that would be a great fight. Yanez, it's a lot of bantamweight stacked, another stacked division, so Wellmaker doing that, it's kind of crazy. Jacqueline Amory versus Polyana Viana. Nothing too crazy there. Amory did what she was supposed to do. Got into mount. Got the submission. Or I think she got a rear naked choke. My bad. In round 2. She was a -800 favorite, so we expect that. Tommy Kuwamba getting the knockout finish over Roberto Romero. This is another thing, too. Roberto Romero is someone who went, granted on short notice, but took Onama to the ringer, you know? And then Onama goes out there and beats Giga Chikadze. So I think there's a little pause on Onama because of stuff like this. But in the Tommy Kuamba goes out there and knocks out Roberto Romero. The kid's tough. You could argue maybe a you know, a quicker stoppage, early stoppage, but I think it was right. You know, I think Roberto Romero's a little he's one of those guys, tough for his own good. He would have kept getting up and kept fighting all that type of stuff, but nah, he was out pretty good. I think that was a really good knee by Timmy Kuamba, and you know, great shot. Last fight, or first fight of the night actually, pretty shocker here with Jocelyn Edwards beating Chelsea Chandler. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to be just Jocelyn Edwards, like, taking her down, sitting on her, you know, one of those boring decisions, but she goes out there and knocks her out. Pretty crazy. I don't really got much to say. I mean, it's not like it's moving any needles. You know, Jocelyn Edwards still Jocelyn Edwards, but it's cool to see. It's cool to see in the women's bantamweight division, you know, creating highlights like that. Hopefully we can see that in the main events with, or, you know, in those title fights with, I think it's Kayla Harrison and Juliana Pena, so let's see that. It's late, so I'm gonna go to bed. Yeah. Great fight night, though. Great fight night. A lot of narratives. I like these. Bro, welterweight is so good. I think people just forget. Like, to me, welterweight's the best division in the UFC, 100%. Because, like, it's the storylines. Like, lightweight, no one's fighting each other. Bantamweight, I think, gets a little too much glaze. Like, I don't know. Because, like, to me, a good division is a division that's pushed by storylines, constantly in the headlines. Everyone's talking about it, and they have the talent. You go down the list of welterweights, you have Garry, you have Buckley, you have Brady, Leon, Usman, your champion Bilal Muhammad, Jack Dillon Maddalena, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Michael Morales. Come on, I could keep going. Like, and we just had Process. Process is a bright future ahead of him too. Just so many guys, bro. So many guys that are just waiting for their shot. It's an amazing division, man. It's just no other division that has the storylines, has the faces. I feel like at any moment, one of these guys could break through and be the star of the UFC, 100%. And at any moment, one of these guys could go on a win streak, could be champion, like at any moment. Lightweight, I feel like no, like it's not like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there's like a top couple guys, but there's like a tier. I just think Islam's so much ahead of these guys that it's like, I don't know. That's just kind of the thing he's created. But after that, there's like a tier, and then there's a tier below that too. So, and obviously Patty also breaking in. I think that improves it too. But again, there's a ceiling to how much he can, because we don't even know. I think there's also a question to how good Patty is too still, because Chandler got glazed to oblivion too. We just don't know. But for all the interesting stories that Patty provides to the lightweight division, you're getting like hundreds of those in welterweight. You know, 5 of those at least. People talking shit, people going back and forth, igniting division. I think there's too much camaraderie in these divisions, man. Like welterweight is like everyone's out for each other, man. It's so exciting from a fan perspective. Best division out there. Yeah. That's all I really got to say, man. Great event. Usually Kansas City. Something to, you know, look back on. I think it's going to be probably the marking of so many storylines. And yeah, man. Great event. I'm glad this was the event that I was able to come back to and react to. Hopefully we're going to make this more of a consistent thing. I always say this, but I honestly, I will stand on my word. You are going to be getting a video a day, 100%. You're going to get a short every single day. You're going to get some form of content every single day. And yeah, that's standard we saying for IBP Nation, IBP Forever, IBP Box, or IBP MMA, all that type of stuff. So that's all I got for y'all today. Leave a like, subscribe. Peace. You know what it is.